think about winning a Honda Prelude SI. Every week for 4 weeks, In-N-Out Burger is giving away a Prelude SI from the Southern California Honda dealers. So head for any In-N-Out Burger, pick up your bumper sticker, check the rules, and enter the In-N-Out Burger Bumper Sticker Sweepstakes. It's for everyone who's hungry for a high-performance car.
All right, so this is it. Didn't think it was gonna happen, but hey, I finally made it on time and on point. So, all right, hey everyone, welcome back here on this channel again. So I won a contest for a couple of days right here at AfroAnimation, which I have heard of for a while, and I always wanted to experience, but unfortunately it's too expensive to get these tickets. But lucky for me, I managed to win a 3-day contest. So special thanks to First Entertainment, them, and also giving me this. So managed to score this for this video. So overall, I'm pretty excited for it.
That was literally a masterclass in what's happened over the last 10 years. And if you study what's happened over the last few years and you really get into, the economical issues that studios are having, you will understand how to use
for their time. I know a few of them have to jet out with a quick cutoff, but Eli Harris, our voice actor, Eli's worked on incredible catalog of voice acting projects like The Need for Speed, Takedown, Star Trek Troopers, Star Wars The Order. We have Elaine Uy, whose talent goes to Emmy Award-winning Netflix series Blue Eye Samurai, Marvel's Hellstrom, HBO's True Detective. We also have 2 executive producers and creators for Lil Kev, and that's Michael Price and Matthew Claypool. So let's give them a hand as they. So I thought we would start off today, and there's a lot of students in the room. We've asked them to be reflective. You all have amazing talent. You've been in the industry for years, a lot of accolades. If you could go back and give your younger self a word of advice, let's start us off there. Tell us about that younger version of you. What would you say to that person right now in the room? And anyone, we can start in any direction.
For me, it's patience. I'm a very high-powered individual, and I want things to happen like right now. So one of the things in this business, being a military veteran, helped me to learn patience. But thank you, I appreciate it. But being in this industry, it's 90% rejection. It really is. And you have to have a tough skin and the desire and the passion to do this. And I know that like a lot of people look at a career for money purposes. You have to have the heart and the passion for this. So it's patience for me.
Okay, I guess I'll tackle that next. I was really busy focusing on the end product and the result, and constantly searching for that break to make it happen for me. The one thing I'll tell the younger version of me, something I've learned as I've gotten older, is that to redefine what that break means, that the very definition of break means you're breaking something. It's not breaking through, but you're breaking something. And then, as Eli was saying, that there you got to push through a lot of those things. And in those moments where you feel that you're too focused, that you're not making it, is that you have to, in some ways, fix yourself to move forward. That's the one thing I will tell myself, is just to keep pushing, because there's a lot of times where I quit, and I've been in this industry for about 25 years now, and had I quit in those moments, I don't think I'd be here at this moment in terms of reaping the rewards of the hard work that I've put forth. So I think that's what I would tell myself, is just redefine some of the things that I thought were the end goal, but really it's just keeping me from moving forward. So yeah.
So that's a kind of a hard question. I'm kind of like, what would I change or what would I tell myself? Probably just I would say to clear stuff out of your life that's unimportant. That would give you more time to do what the main thing is. And all of us have conflicts in our lives, or know people that have conflicts. If you have that, to me, you give me situations when I create a show, it's like, all right, what are all the configurations of conflict? Because I can go forever on that. Because that's where the joke comes from. You know you're passionate about something, and passion turns into jokes if you just allow yourself to study it and being around comedy in general.
You've already done. Do one from your reel. Give us a Clone War person.
All right, see, I got rid of the dialogue too.
Just say welcome to AfroAnimation. The
Welcome
choice is
to
yours.
AfroAnimation Summit 2025.
That is so cool.
Welcome to AfroAnimation Summit 2025.
Hi, I'm Jonathan, and you can sign in anywhere. Yeah, Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so you've been in the industry for a while, huh? Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm just getting started. I mean, I've been visiting a couple of studios, especially Disney. They've been pretty cool with me.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It's an exciting time to just be starting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Either
So just,
with the mainstream studio or on my own, which is indie. It doesn't matter. At least I just know what I'm doing.
you got some ideas for shows and stuff?
I do, actually. I'm mostly influenced by 60s aesthetic.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's usually my cup of tea over there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. All right, it's nice to meet you, though.
Thank you.
Of course.
And we've got some folks here that are going to talk to you about Disney Future Animation. I'm going to introduce their moderator in a few minutes. His name is Tyler McKinnon, and then he will introduce the ladies who will be with you. We're just going to make sure we're ready to rock, or are we going to go to the trailer? Let's go to the trailer.
We're so.
Hold on, Tyler, hold on. I'll take him a minute to switch. It just takes a minute to switch over. Let me take that mic when you sit down.
Hello, everyone. We are so excited to be here today. My name is Tyler McKim, and I'm the manager of our talent development programs here at Disney Animation. So our talent development programs include our interns, trainees, apprentices at our studios, and we'll talk a little bit more about that near the end of our presentation. Super excited to introduce our panelists.
Let me put my arm way in.
All right, so I checked out a couple of panels that I did. Let's see. The first one I did was for Little Kevin, you know, that Kevin Hart cartoon. I got to meet one of the creators. It's pretty cool. I went to another panel that's about AI, but I was mostly waiting for Disney Animation to show up, and Disney Animation showed up, so I'm glad to see everyone at the studio again. And, well, usually new people. I usually meet a lot of new people there. But, lucky enough to get more contact there. And, yeah, and they give away free lunch as well, so I got a free roast beef sandwich and some chips, some water. And I need water because I drink a lot more water. So I'm waiting for the Pixar panel coming up very soon. So, whoa, the sign. Oh, somebody got it. Okay. So yeah, I'm just waiting for the next panel in a bit. I'm just needed a break from this. So yeah, I'm gonna go eat, you guys. All right. So this is the expo hall. I wouldn't even call it a hall. It's more like a room. It's cute though. Hey, Leica's there, which is really nice. I do like Leica though. They're very creative. You know, they're one of the best in stop motion. It's just mostly promotions for stuff like AI and others, but even though a lot of people in the animation industry are very critical towards it. But I will say at the same time that I think it's best not to use it that much, though. But yeah, it's kind of cute, though. It's a cute little place. I heard last year's is much bigger at the Marriott in Burbank, but here this year is just a small room. I feel like it deserves a bit more here, at least, you know. But, you know, it's kind of cute. I think they focus more on the panels this year, which I do like.
All right, so just to kind of kick it off, to give you a little bit of a backstory, a little bit of my history before I get into the modeling and sort of bringing overview. I got my degree in media arts and animation. Probably been in the industry now, I'd say maybe a little over 15 years or so. After graduating and getting my degree, I moved to New York and started working in television animation as a character layout artist. And so as a contract artist there, I was there roughly for about a year or so, maybe about a year and a half. And then after completing the contract there, relocated to California. I always kind of knew that I wanted to be in California because I knew that's kind of where the mecca was in terms of animation and visual effects. So it was always my intention to move to the West Coast. After moving to California, I actually didn't get right into the industry. It was actually a little bit of a challenge in the beginning. I did have the opportunity to start working at a company called IMD, Image Movers Digital, which has since unfortunately shut down. But when I did start working at that company, I actually went in as a facilities assistant. So I was actually working in the mailroom, but knowing that there was an opportunity eventually to kind of get into the art department. This particular company did a lot of animation. They had an actual character shop, which they did traditional sculpting, which is something that I was very interested in early on. And so my thought was to just, maybe I'll work my way into the department. Having the opportunity to kind of meet with creative directors, art directors, getting feedback, trying to just, continuously sort of improve my skill set. That was my ultimate goal. Fast forward probably about a year and a half or so, I actually had an opportunity to start working on a short that we were actually in production at the time as a sculptor. And unfortunately, the company shut down about 2 months after that. So,
Damn.
So at that point, actually, because of the sort of ambition that I had at the time, getting the opportunity to meet with the creative director, I was able to get a recommendation. So then I started working at ILM for a little bit in the art department. Kind of went in there, sort of learning the ropes. My initial thought was to kind of stay in the art department and sort of grow and develop myself. That was also a contract position at the time. But knowing that my ultimate goal was to kind of get into feature animation, at this time I was really just trying to gauge where my interests were. I had a lot of interest at the time in terms of animation, VFX, creature design, 3D modeling as well. But once that contract finished, I actually had an opportunity to kind of get my first 3D modeling gig. So from there, I went on to work at 2K Games. So I started working on the NBA 2K NBA title, and that was strictly working on sort of modeling likenesses of the basketball players, which was great. I really enjoyed playing basketball as well, so I kind of felt that connection with it, so that was a really great opportunity. Now mind you, at this point, I'm still trying to kind of find, where I sort of fit in the industry. So after being there roughly about 4 years, I had an opportunity to be a lead at a VR company. took a role at a company called Linden Lab working on, it was a new VR platform that was being developed. So I had a small team, which was really great, really small team that, you know, there was great camaraderie there, really felt like a team. And so after being there for about 4 years or so, actually at the time, I had a friend that was working at Pixar Animation. And, you know, he kind of reached out to me and said, hey, we're gonna have some roles that are gonna be opening up pretty soon. You think you would be interested? And I was like, yeah, maybe, you know, we'll kind of see. I was actually pretty excited about where I was at the time, and, you know, I kind of had sort of the outlook of what the sort of possibilities were at the studio that I was at the time. But I knew that I always kind of wanted to be in feature animation, so I kind of, you know, just sort of took a stab at it and presented my portfolio. And, you know, within the next, I think, maybe a couple of weeks or so after speaking with the recruiters, I did receive an offer, and I decided to kind of just, you know, throw caution to the wind and say, okay, let's go ahead and give it a shot. So now I've actually been there going on about 6 years now, so hopefully I don't jump around too much more and kind of make that my own. So, yeah, just to kind of talk about a little bit about the sort of production pipeline of a character TD in the model rig department. What does that mean? What are those responsibilities? Support various departments, including art, shade, room, layout, sim, animation. We also take an existing character design and modeling and translating the approved 2D artwork into 3D for the purposes of creating a production model. A lot of times when you're beginning these models, you're working hand in hand with an art director or a character designer. So there's a lot of back and forth where you have opportunities to really kind of improve on the design, introduce a lot more appeal into the character. So this is where you really kind of get to facilitate sort of the look of that character from 2D to 3D, and ultimately just you're trying to bring out what the director is ultimately envisioning. Right? What are some of the other responsibilities? Rigging a character, aka kind of what we also call kind of like a digital puppet. Also character props. Character props are usually aligned directly with characters. Anything that a character kind of like associates with or kind of uses on their, you know, within their performance. And then occasionally assist the art department in 3D visual development. So there are opportunities where, say for example, if I finish a particular project, I'll then kind of transition a role into the art department and help with kind of visualizing early development for a character that's been designed in 2D and help them kind of like visualize what that's going to look like in 3D. So it's very much kind of a similar process to what we do in the model rig department, but it's not so much developing what the character is going to be for production, but more so just kind of like a precursor to what it could potentially look like. And then so to kind of break it down into the two sort of processes or responsibilities that we have as a model rig team. Within modeling, the primary goal is to translate, as I mentioned previously, 2D art into 3D, into a 3D model. Working alongside the art department, you, the character designer, along with the production designer, will collaborate to ultimately achieve what the director is envisioning. And so, initially, you should have an understanding of the design language and the overall look of the show. Every show that you come across and you get casted onto, there's going to be a completely different look. There may be some similarities in certain areas, you know, whether it be mouth shapes. A lot of times we, you know, may, you know, move away from having the sharp corners and maybe kind of, you know, introduce more like the rounded shapes in the mouth. For example, we have here one example of Win or Lose, which, as you can see, the anatomy is very simplified. You have very simplified shapes. A lot of it is, you know, kind of like stylization of the anatomy. anatomy, but in this case, it's almost, you know, just reduced to the most simplest forms, geometric forms. And then you kind of compare that to a film like Soul, where there's a little bit more richness. You have more complexity to the models. Even the clothing, the garments themselves, have a little bit more, you know, design to them, a little bit more specificity as well. And then so some of these things that you have to keep in mind as well is, you know, how simplified the shapes are, as I mentioned. Does the mouth movement remain and slide within the silhouette of the surface of the face? When you're comparing, say for example, win or lose, a lot of the expressions are kind of sort of maintained within the region of the muzzle itself. So you don't see a lot of volume change or a lot of sort of fleshy transitions within the different mouth shapes, right? And then as opposed to, say for something like Soul, where you see this sort of transition of fleshy sort of build up where you have, you know, all the different muscles kind of like firing within the face, and kind of, they help sort of take the image or the shape language of the actual character to mimic something that's a little bit closer to, I guess what you can say, kind of like real life sort of movie. So when beginning a character, before getting started on the model, you'll have a kickoff or what's called a handoff of the art. You essentially meet with a character designer or a character art director. You'll kind of be paired up, and then you'll receive and kind of get the opportunity to go through and take a look at what that specific character is, maybe learn a little bit about the backstory of the character's sort of position in the actual film, how much of an importance does that character play within the film itself. Sometimes you'll be assigned or tasked with a main or a primary character. You also have the opportunity to work on a secondary, and then a lot of times you're also just working on background or BG characters. So just to give you a little bit of an explanation on that, this is the initial introduction to the character or character prop. You'll have the opportunity to ask initial questions about the design, any specificity the artist is looking for, and pretty much anything that you might want a little more clarity on. So this is definitely the opportunity to kind of get a little bit more information if there's anything that's not, you know, super clear. Actually, you know, what we like to say is they're cheated, and essentially they're cheated so that they look appealing in that particular pose. It might not work in 3D, but you know, that's kind of our role, right? It's like trying to go in there, try to figure out what's the most appealing shape and form for this character. And here's an example of a more simplistic concept with Frank from Win or Lose. Now the benefit of Win or Lose is we actually had the art director was also a sculptor. He was actually working as a model rig TD before moving into more of a directorial sort of position or role. So we actually had the benefit of having sculpted characters that we could refer to get a better understanding and a better idea of what these characters look like in 3D form. So there wasn't a whole lot of guesswork, which was fantastic. It helped move the production of our models a little bit quicker, which was super helpful for the budget, of course. And so continuing, they were able to provide us with kind of a multitude of characters throughout the cast that we could just quickly refer to the 3D models. And again, these models were just used as reference. So these are actually just sculpted characters. They're not actual production models, which really helped just kind of figure out a lot of that information. So yeah, so this is an example of one that was a little bit more informative in terms of the concept. And so in other cases with this character, for Luca, when I was working on this character, it was definitely beneficial to get a character that you could get sort of orthographic views, or at least in this case, it was a side, 3/4, and a front view, which you definitely don't normally get. Sometimes you just get one image, and that's what you have to work from. This is another example, early example of Conchetta on Luca as well. up going with the approved version on the right. And then so that was one that was there was a few iterations in the beginning as well. And that's another thing that also happens when you're working on these characters. There are times where it might shift in design throughout the actual production. But for the most part, once they land on something and the director actually gives an approval or a green light to go with a specific design, that's for the most part what we stick with. Okay, so kind of going into a little bit more of the modeling, characters can often be grouped into two categories. One having a topology similar to other characters on the show, which we also call shared topology, and then one-off characters with their own unique topology. And then so characters with shared topology, in this case, for some characters on Luca, these were kind of known, what we coded them as townsfolk, or they're essentially the BGs or background characters. And if you look, you can actually see that these characters all have the same body type, right? They all actually share the same topology as well. And so for us in the modeling department, our job or task was to take the characters and essentially resculpt or reshape the faces so that they look unique. And this is just a matter of trying to create a little bit more of a variety, a little bit more richness in the crowds, BGs, so that, you know, when you're looking at the film, you're not so much trying to like pick out and say, okay, like that character looks exactly like this one. There wanted to be a little bit more richness and sort of variety within the crowd. And that was something that the director was really kind of chasing and hoping to achieve. So there was quite a bit of time that we actually put towards the BG characters, you know. And then also obviously including a change in or the variety of clothing. I mean, even if you look here, like the pants are very much similar. The shirts are different. You know, we'll change up the hat, maybe some of the facial hair, things like that, just to kind of give them a little bit more, once again, a little bit more variety. There's a few more examples of some of the kids on the show as well. And characters with shared topology already have an established base mesh to work from, known as a body type, as I previously mentioned. This is usually the case for secondary and BG's background characters. Now, an additional benefit of this is, because the characters all share the same topology, we don't have to create a new mesh for each character. We can kind of just sort of reuse or recycle the same mesh and just kind of build something fresh and new from it. That also helps with you know, the pipeline down the line as well as for departments such as like the shading department. They don't have to re-UV the characters. They can kind of just use the UVs that were already created on the initial model and just apply that. It's almost, I guess you could say almost like a copy and paste. You're just using the information that you already have and applying it to the next one. And at that point, they can just kind of change some of the shading or the texturing a little bit, just to make it a little bit more unique. And in this example, this is where you have characters with unique topology. Now, these characters were in the more sense of kind of a one shot, or sort of like we didn't really reuse them as much. There may be opportunities where you create a character where it's just used for one particular shot or one sequence, and then you may reuse the topology at some point to create other characters as well. But in this case, with characters that, you know, the mesh cannot be repurposed for another character due to the vast difference in the character's overall structure. So in this case, for example, with the tortoise, I think it was just used maybe for a couple sequences kind of early on when Luca meets Alberto. And because of the character's topology flow, there's no way that you can really reuse that, right? It's kind of one and done. So each one of these characters have to be modeled. You know, it has to have a different rig, a unique rig for it. So that, you know, that creates a little bit more, a longer process in terms of like production modeling for these particular characters. And so after After your initial modeling pass, you'll then present your work to the character art director and production designer to get feedback and draw papers. Some of the things that they look for are proportion, appeal, does it feel like the character, shape and form. So this is where, kind of tying back to working with the character art director or production designer, this is where you kind of had this opportunity to work back and forth. You'll take a pass at modeling the character, and this is kind of just getting the neutral sort of feel. This is before you start thinking about any type of articulation or any type of movement in the character. You're just trying to get the feel of the character specifically, all leading to getting the buy-off or the green light from the director. So in this situation, you'll send screen grabs of wherever you're at that particular moment working on the character, and then the art director or character designer will send back drawovers of this particular character, saying, we need a little bit more volume in this area. Let's create a little bit more sort of rounding or shaping within, say for example, like the chin or the hair. We want it to flow in this particular direction. So you get very specific notes on the direction that they're actually looking for. Here's one more example with Frank, and this was just more specific to the hair clumps. So we really try to dive deep into almost like the smallest nuances, right? It's like, okay, does the hair look appealing being in this direction? Do we want to shift the clump a little bit this way or that way? So it's, we get very deep into a lot of that, just to try to make sure that it all looks appealing, right? It fits the shading, it all works together really well in terms of, camera and the specific shot that it's being done. Because really what you're trying to do, and we're not just trying to make a character look appealing for a specific shot, because that's really how we kind of work, right? It's just, you're gonna see the character in most, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna see the character in probably a 3/4 shot. But really when we're working, doing the initial model, we're trying to make this character look great from every angle. Because you essentially don't know if, a shot may change, there may be a camera pan or a rotation around the character at some point. So we really try to fine tune it to make sure it looks really good from every angle. And also lighting is a big indicator of that as well. You'll then present to the director or directors. In this case, with Win or Lose, we had co-directors. And then so this is where you're aiming to get the buy-off or final for the model. Okay? Ultimately, the end goal is getting that model approved from the director of directors. You're also, the production designer is very much involved in that as well.
Okay, if anybody wants to do a 7th inning stretch, we are going to start our next panel in literally 1 minute. But thank you to Omar one more time, please. Again, trying to get into the industry or just trying to make a pivot. Again, the people who are working, doing things, have knowledge and advice that are here, so use them. Again, the Pixar guy was just like, that's a master class in that kind of work. And so we're super fortunate to have those kinds of partners. So every year, for the past 5 years, we've been told at the end of every AfroAnimation, why don't you have more voiceover now? Yeah! Voiceover! Woo!
Yay!
We've had shows where the shows will come and we'll have voices from the shows, but we've never had a dedicated voiceover panel. So it is my pleasure to introduce our first ever dedicated voiceover panel, moderated by Robin Reed, and so I'm introducing her, and she will introduce the rest of them. Make sure they do some voices.
All right.
It would be weird if I did not know how to use this properly. These are different than the microphones that we're used to. But thanks for being here, everyone. I don't know that I've been in such a steep theater. This is really exciting. So I'll just bring everyone out so we can get started. I'm sure there's loads to say, loads to learn. First, Elisa Reyes. Artist, producer, and writer. You may know Elisa for being an original cast member and series regular on All Out on Nickelodeon. She's also a series regular on the Emmy and NAACP award-winning Disney Plus cartoon The Proud Family, Louder and Prouder.
All right.
She plays the posse that, oh so lovable, La Cienega Boulevardine.
Oh, ho, ho. La Cienega. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Also voices multiple voices in the newest Xbox video game called Starfield.
Nice. Great game.
Next up, Dana Rosario, voiceover artist and producer, an adorable jumpsuit wearer.
Hi.
Dana expanded her voiceover to PBS, Nick Jr., and Sprout. She plays multiple characters in video game sequences like Tom Clancy's The Division and Saints Row.
The good ones, yeah. Wait, the recent St. Rose?
Next up, Michael Scott, actor, director, and creator. Michael is known for memorable roles such as Damon in the best-selling game Wildflowers, Tyrese in the critically acclaimed horror game The Walking Dead, and Daryl Weatherhouse. And last but not least, Alexicon, voiceover artist from Alice and Lip Service. Her work includes Call of Duty, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Spinning, The Elder Scrolls, League of Legends, Final Fantasy, Titanfalls, Black Desert, Deathloop, Star Wars, Deathloop, Wasteland, Guitar Hero, and more.
My childhood.
Should I start here? Can I stay here? I feel like I should sit with everybody. I should do a split too. Hello, hello. Microphones everywhere. I don't need to take this one. No. I swear I've done this before. Okay. I have to hold it for a second. Hi. Hi, thanks again, everybody. I should reintroduce myself now that I'm seated. Again, my name is Robin Reed. I'm a voiceover artist, director, coach, writer, producer, taxpayer. And thank you so much for having me. Thank you guys for being here. It's really, I don't know if you know this about voiceover artists, but a lot of what we do is very singular. A lot of what we do is recording alone. So it's really great to be in person with people. Yeah. Remember people?
Yeah.
So great. I'm just gonna keep reading from my phone. All right, so let's just jump into it. First, and I mean, I guess anyone just take a stab at it. How did you get into this?
I started when I was 7 years old, but I like to consider myself immortal. And believe it or not, I started off doing live action and on camera, but I would say after I had started doing all that on Nickelodeon, I would say once my career was really thriving and whatnot, my agent at the time that I had was like, do you want to audition for animation? I was like, yeah, let's do it all. And that's when I got the call to go in for The Proud Family, which at the time in the early 2000s was on Disney, and now it's on Disney Plus. Woohoo!
Whoa.
And so
Best show
I
ever.
remember going out for that specifically, and it was like, I don't know, just like yesterday to me, but it was probably one of the best experiences because I got a chance to really shape who La Cienega is today. I kind of consider her my alter ego. And what was great about that experience was being able to be an on-camera actress, but to add my own je ne sais quoi to the vibration. And because of that, I was able to take all of those frequencies and really just make her magical and add a little bit of my authentic self into the process.
Yeah, awesome. Dana?
I got started in voiceovers. Originally, I was an on-camera actress. I was doing commercials, and I had a day job. And it had always been a fantasy of mine to be a voiceover artist, specifically on a cartoon. And people used to say, Dana, you should really get into voiceovers, and I never really paid it much attention. So I was auditioning and, doing some things, and I got sick. And when I got sick, I was put on steroids. And when I was put on steroids, I gained a lot of weight. And this sounds very low and superficial, but when you're out there thinking that you're competing with everybody for certain roles in Hollywood, I just didn't think I fit the part anymore. I was very I lost a lot of my confidence because of my weight. I was completely out of my mind for thinking that, but that's the frame of mind that I was in. But I still had a day job, and I wanted to do something. I wanted to stay creative. And so I just started, researching what voiceover people I could work with, where could I take voiceover lessons. And I'll never forget, I found a voiceover coach, and I worked with her on microphone technique. And I took out a $1,500 loan with my credit union so that I could get my very first voiceover demo produced. And all I really wanted to do was make my money back. And I just said a prayer like, God, I want to really, really still be an actress, but I just don't have the confidence to be on camera, and I'm going to try my best in voiceover. So I want to be able to make my money back. I cut the demo, and it cost $1,500, and I'm paraphrasing here, but I cut the demo. My demo was complete on Friday. By that Monday, I had my first campaign for Walmart, and that's what really started my commercial voiceover.
3 short days, that's all it is. And 3 days later, it rains down passion prices. That's the amazing story. Michael, how about you?
So for me, I always knew I wanted to do it. When I was a little kid, I had action figures, and I would do the voices of the Ninja Turtles and the X-Men and Batman and all the toys. And in short, at Comic-Con, I was doing voices at an event and met an agent that I didn't know was an agent. She's like, "You're good at doing voiceover." Like, thanks. She's like, "Have you ever thought of doing voiceover?" Her name is Alyssa Gentile, and I always credit her whenever I speak. Because, yes, she mentored me and trained me and told me where to go and what to do, and I'll spend my time talking about that because it's so important. If you want to do this, find someone who's doing it that can mentor and guide you so you can save time and money. So in short, she told me where to take classes, but most importantly, I did what she said. I took the classes. I was at Calvinson here in Burbank. And then she told me, to go to networking events, so I would show her going to networking events. I asked her what microphone to buy. She gave microphone recommendations, so I showed her about the microphone. So every step of the way up into the demo, she gave me recommendations, so I made my demo. But having someone who has your back and can guide you will be so much more helpful for you in your career, because there are scams out there. They're like, yeah, come over this weekend and make a demo. You have like no acting training, no improv, no background, nothing. And so it helps you to have someone in your corner. So in short, that's how she helped me. I brought my little list because people always ask me what I'm in. The bio is like 3 things, but I promise you I've done more than 3 things. So real quick, I'm going to tell you some other stuff. I am in Boss Baby, Droners, Genshin Impact, League of Legends, Batman Arkham Shadow, Squid Game 2, Battlefield, New World, Monster Hunters, Resident Evil, Street Fighter, The Callisto Protocol, The 7 Deadly Sins, Fortnite the Apocalypse, Sakamoto Days, Earth Revival, Project Zomboid, Once Human, Warframe, Earth Defense Force, Serial Killers, Trials of Mana, 6 Days in Fallujah, Super Crooks, The Young and the Restless, The Witches, The Cleaning Lady, Fight for Paradise, and some other stuff. I just wanted to at least not let you guys just sit up here for the 3 days. There's more.
I was gonna say all that, but thank you. How about you, Alexa?
Hello, thanks for having me today. I guess I got my start in voiceover by prank calling as a child. I still enjoy prank calling. I have way too many stories that are inappropriate to be telling here. But yeah, I've always acted and performed. I graduated from UC Santa Barbara, so their BFA acting program, and a lot of my classmates, there were only 12 of us. It's kind of a conservatory situation. Went to grad school for acting, and I knew I wanted to be on Broadway. I worked on the West Coast premiere of the show, and I stayed in touch for 2 years while still at university with the playwright. He knew I was moving to New York. He's like, I know you sing, because you did this play of mine, but do you want to audition? I have a role that I think you could be right for. It's just a producer sessions at this stage. Ooh, here we go. This is it. So I said, yeah. So I had to learn, be familiar, not memorize 16 songs in like 2 days with this accompanist who was amazing. I ended up getting the part and found out it was a Broadway show, musical, and Nile Rodgers wrote the music for it. I was at his house twice a week, just chorus. It was about the Harlem Renaissance, and I was so grateful to be a part of it. And I learned a lot from just really esteemed theater actors, super experienced. And after 9 months of producer sessions, the stock market crashed and the show was put on hold and forever frozen in time. So I, being from California, left New York, came to LA, did the whole like working at restaurants, trying to figure out classes, and so I ended up meeting my mentor, who's now 85 actually, she's in New York, Brenda Vaccaro.
Brenda Vaccaro?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
That's a good mentor.
All right, yeah. She's an amazing woman, and got me my first meeting at an agency. Took me 6 months to sign with them because I was very green. I was like, I'm ready to audition. They're like, okay, where's your demo? I was like, huh? So I did everything kind of similar to you, Michael, like just listen to these agents. Alyssa was an assistant to a promo agent at this agency at the time. And she's a great person. And they signed me, but it took me a year and a half to book even my first callback. And I was so stressed. I was like, oh my God, they're gonna drop me. But I stayed in touch with the president of the agency, the vice president. I was like, what can I do? Which classes can I take? So all of my money was like going towards coaching because there is a specific way to coach your voiceover. Very different in commercial, promo, animation. It's not just, hey, I don't have an interesting voice. It really does come down to training and acting. And then yeah, just snowballed. I just hustled, and I still hustle. And I'm grateful for my job every day. I love it. It's creative and interact. But again, it's just like showing up on time, being professional, keep your head down, like no matter what you're working on. Like there's always someone waiting in the wings, and if you love it, stick with it. Yeah.
That's a common theme I think you'll find is like, well, one common theme is no one has the same path into this. Everyone's road is different, and getting as much information and as many anecdotal, as many stories, origin stories as you can from different people, and kind of pick and choose what works for you. There's no one set path, as you can hear here. I started out in theater in New York. Not quite Broadway, a little bit more theater where I was like, I love doing this, but someday I might want to buy a nice couch. And I don't think this is going to get me anywhere near a nice couch. And I had a friend who was I was in rehearsal for a play off Broadway on the Lower East Side. And she was like, guys, I'm the voice of Splenda. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, well, Splenda's this little yellow thing. She was like, sweet and love. I was like, no, we need the voice of it. And she was like, oh, voice, you have a great voice. You should do voiceover. And I was like, compliments, the great gateway drug into doing theater. It's so much more than having a good voice. As you can hear, everyone here talked about training and acting classes. And I'll add to that improv. I think improv is king for voiceover, for commercial, for animation. I worked a bunch with Tom Kenny. That guy barely uses the script as a
SpongeBob.
Yes,
Yeah.
Tom. Yeah, I know Tom.
So yeah, there's a lot of different paths in. I will say, just as like a cautionary tale, I got taken for a ride by a pretty shady coach in New York. I spent a lot of my bartending tips on a guy that promised me the sun, moon, and stars and didn't deliver any of it. Not even a tiny little star. And then I, through a friend, got a recommendation to another coach who kind of had a more clear path. But then it was still, I signed with an agent. It was 4 years before I booked the job that I could quit my job. So yeah, I mean, if it's something that you love to do, it's a great part.
They're kind of selfish. Make sure to tag. I'm not calling you Dave. I love you. You're beautiful. Okay. Okay. Yes. Right. Can I have you take a photo too? Okay, you're the best. You're the bomb. Anyone. I trust you guys.
You know, that thing keeps falling off. I don't want that to fall.
Who are we looking at? It's like paparazzi line.
Yes.
Fantastic.
And I'll say one with the
Official?
Yeah.
Real?
Yeah.
Alright, everyone, 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Oh wait, someone blink.
Okay.
I won't name names. 3, 2, 1. Perfect.
Great panel.
All right, so I think for AfroAnimation, I'm kind of done with it. I'm gonna go get an In-N-Out burger. But as of now, I just want to give out my quick thoughts on this place. Overall, I like it. I like AfroAnimation. I think it's a really decent small event for many animators to pop up and just gather around, meeting some people for the first time, or reunite with some people that you haven't seen in a while. So yeah, I do recommend it, although this is a very niche thing to do if you're only an animator or you're only somebody who works in animation. And it's marketed more for the African American community or anybody who's black, you know, y'all rock. But the thing is that, yeah, you have to be really niche on these kinds of events. I mean, there's some big ones like Disney Animation popped up, Pixar, particularly the 3D modeler I just saw. Even Laika was there, Netflix, Lucasfilm, all these people. Thanks. So yeah, these are people that these are like big names that can help like sponsor it or have a panel there. That's it. That's all they did is panels, but the panels over there what we got is pretty good though. So yeah, I can recommend only if you like panels like me. So not that bad of a place. So yeah, thank you again, AfroAnimation, for the invite, and thank you to I forgot their names. First Entertainment, yeah. First Entertainment for actually letting me in for the giveaway because I won that contest. So it's rare for me to win a contest though. All right, so I'm gonna go get my In-N-Out burger. It's already cloudy, Batman. Why is it cloudy, Batman? Did you do it? Did you do it, Batman? Yes, by the way, this is a Sears. A Sears that is still open to this day. Isn't that insane? A Sears in 2025 is still open. Seems like it. I haven't checked out, honestly. But if it's open, that's insane that a Sears still exists in 2025, though. I mentioned years ago that my local Sears is closed down, so... Rip in hell, Sears, I guess. I made it. It's raining outside right now, and I do not have an umbrella, so that's not a very good idea. I think I'll get cherry Coke. Finally. Well, they don't have any stickers, but they got a coloring book for kids.
17, please. Guest 22, please. Guest 25, guest 24, please.
Okay, so that's about it for this week's video. And before I end this video, I just want to have a quick announcement because, well, some good news actually, because I managed to get my media press for Comic-Con Revolution next month. So this is my first time getting it for this convention. And I've been coming to this convention for the last several years now. And all I can say is I'm very excited for it. I'm very excited to highlight this as media press. But at the same time, a little nervous. But you know what? I've done the Annies, so I can do this. Overall, so I think that's it for today, you guys. I'm gonna get some rest, finish editing this, get ready for the Nintendo Switch 2 experience next week. And look, here's Disney Animation over there. There's the Walt Disney Studios over there. And my friends are still there. So overall, you guys, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all next time. You guys take care. Ciao. Bye-bye. Adios. Hasta la vista.